I lost my husband on September 11th. He was a firefighter and responded to the attacks on the World Trade Center on that fateful day. People in my community were so supportive. People from all over the country were very supportive. People actually sent my family American flags, some of them hand-stitched, and I have them hanging on the walls of my house. And when I looked at that flag, I felt a sense of unity. I felt a collective hug. I look at the flag now and I don't feel the same way. I don't feel that unity. So I decided to make a documentary and ask my fellow Americans, what does the American flag mean to you right now? And do you feel we're divided? And if we are, how are we possibly going to get back together? So I hopped in my car with my crew and we started interviewing people.
The Staten Island-based artist is known for painting Old Glory all over the country. He's painted murals of the flag in all 50 states, on homes, cars, firehouses, police stations, you name it.
It's unusual for an artist to be so patriotic. Over-the-top patriotic, as I'm called sometimes. I have flirted face-to-face with the Mona Lisa dans Paris at the Louvre. I've touched the painful brushstrokes of a Vincent van Gogh. Wasn't allowed to, but as an artist I had to. But the greatest work of art in the history of civilization is the Star-Spangled Banner. The French flag represents the French people, a beautiful flag. The Italian flag represents the Italians, the Indian flag represents, and so on across this globe. This flag, our flag, the American flag, represents all of those people. That's why this flag is so great.
I see the American flag as a symbol of the ideal, that all men are created equal. I have a love for America, a natural love, but also I recognize the abuse that America places on my people, from slavery to today. Seeing George Washington's statue up, he owned slaves during his lifetime. That's not being totally authentic about your ideals. If you believe all men are created equal, yet you are willing to enslave people, that's kind of really wrong. You know, there's still a great divide in America of who has power and who doesn't. And we're all still trying to see if freedom could be achieved for everybody. There's people who really believe in the American flag and the American dream, and I'm one of them. As long as they keep the flag up, I think we'll get there. We're close. We're very close.
When you ask me what the American flag means, it means history, it means looking at truth. It means to help people understand that our truths are based upon our perspectives. And our perspectives are based on what we think is true. But there have been so many mistruths, particularly about Native people, since the very beginning, since Columbus.
I deal in the world of religion, so I'm very familiar with how symbols function. They create a space for us to imagine and to try to project onto it the best of our aspirations. But throughout its history, the symbol of the flag, symbolizing the United States of America, has had projected onto it and been used in ways that represent the best of who we are, but also the worst of who we are.
The flag doesn't belong to anybody, any corporate interest, to any political party. It belongs to all of us collectively. Nike made, in my opinion, a huge mistake where they came out with a shoe using the Betsy Ross flag. Had that happened 40 years ago, there would have been outrage. You don't wear the American flag as clothing. But Nike went out there and made this sneaker, and Colin Kaepernick then said to Nike, do you know that there are some extreme right organizations that fly that flag as a symbol of white supremacy? And so Nike, with all the power of its marketing team, pulled the sneaker and said, we're pulling the sneaker because it's a symbol of white supremacy. And in doing so, they handed the Betsy Ross flag to white supremacists. It was a huge mistake. You just handed a precious American symbol to crazy people. And we have to fight to get those back.
Colin Kaepernick was a lightning rod. He did it because this country has shown us no allegiance.
When there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent, and this country is representing people the way that it's supposed to, I'll stand.
Donald Trump ran with it. He stoked the stereotypes, the fears, and he's emboldened and empowered a large group who have been feeling disenfranchised.
The reason why we have flags is because it brings unity. We want to be in common with somebody else. So what better way to do that? We have a flag. The United States flag comes back from the British. We were loyalists, and that's where the American flag eventually came from. We have stars because George Washington liked stars. And then, of course, we had red and white stripes representing our 13 colonies. This is the one that flies out in front of my house. My neighbors have all come over and say, "What is that?" They probably think I'm a revolutionary, flying the first American flag. When we first designed this flag, we used to say, every state that we add a star, and we add a stripe. Well, eventually, could you imagine how many we'd have at 50 stars and 50 stripes? We'd have a giant flag. So after the War of 1812, we decided to go back to just adding a star for every state that we add, but to keep the 13 stripes.
Leading up to the 2020 election, we went to Guilford, Connecticut. There was a Trump rally and a Black Lives Matter rally happening simultaneously. We interviewed both groups.
You guys want to be interviewed at all? My name is Andrea Garbarini. That's Shane McAfee. We're doing a documentary just to ask people what the American flag means to them. Would you like to or no? No. Okay.
Well, I had a lot of reaction to the president riding around with me. Most of it's positive, and I get the thumbs up while I'm driving. What the American flag means to me is pretty simple. It's just about sacrifice for what we think is important, and that's freedom. And we're going the wrong way. The forefathers are turning over in their graves because they envision the government with minimum power, absolute minimum power. And the government has taken over totally. Freedom, masks, etc. Too bad for us.
Nobody owns the flag. The flag is for all Americans. It represents people who've struggled and died for freedom and justice. And nobody can claim it for one side or the other. The whole attempt to cast Democrats as unpatriotic is a lie. It's manipulative. And so the flag has come to represent Donald Trump's rhetoric and the Republican Party's rhetoric about what it means to be a patriot. So I reject it.
In the past, the opposition was just that, the opposition. Increasingly, the opposition is the enemy. It's a direct threat to your lifestyle, to your way of life. For the left, they see a Donald Trump, they see January 6th, they see a post-truth America where you can say things that are patently untrue and get away with it. From the Republican side, they see the existential threat as the government completely taking over. When you get these things and you get them engineered by smart political consultants, they can be quite compelling.
A lot of what's causing the divisions is fear. You know, you have people on one side who are fearful of change and want things to be as they were. And you've got people on the other side who are fearful for their children, for equal opportunities, for fairness.
People are scared, and they're rightfully scared. The bridge between the rich and the poor has just been getting bigger and bigger, and people's lives haven't been getting easier, so they look to alternative explanations for why they're going through these struggles. One of the first things you're going to do is look to different conspiracy theories. Am I the one to blame for my problems? And most people don't want to accept that.
What I see is the flag being used differently now. Blue Lives Matter. And a friend of mine, I was just at his barn, and he's got a big one of these hanging on his barn. I understand what he's trying to accomplish with that. It just doesn't feel good. It feels like there's jeopardy to me in that somehow. The police are important, but the police as supporting the rules and the laws that I'm used to understanding as protecting me. I feel like there's a divide in what that means now, and it scares me, frankly.
The American flag to me is representing a country that I love. I came from a very patriotic family. My dad was a captain of the Navy. Our houses always had a flag flying in the front. Nothing political, just it's the flag from the country that we live in and we honor it. When we were putting the house on the market, the realtors basically said, don't leave the flag up in front of your house. It has political connotations now that could be perceived as negative. And I was like, how could that be? It's our flag. It's got 50 stars representing the 50 states from our country. And basically they said the far right radical has now made it appear that if you fly your flag, you might be part of that group. And I think that's ridiculous, but I did take my flag down when I was listing it. I didn't want to offend anyone, and it really bothered me that that was the suggestion, but I did it, so.
I'm Peter Trooper Jr. I moved out here to Peconic to work on my family's new farm. If you've never heard of us, I'm the farm where the American flag truck is. Was here when we got the farm, and people love it. People take pictures of it. I mean, we have wedding parties, quinceañeras, wine tours. Everyone comes. There were 2 instances where people that I interacted with were unsure of me because I was displaying a very large American flag, and it was the first time I really had to consider what it meant. If you're displaying it very prominently, you're letting people know. You might as well have a bumper sticker saying, you know, I support these causes or this sort of thinking. Yeah, it is no longer a unifying symbol. I mean, this country is so big and so vast and so diverse, and it seems to have only grown more divisive over the last 5-6 years.
There's an American flag across the street. I did not count the stars, but apparently it's a 48-star flag. One of my musician friends immediately said, well, that's a political statement. I'm not gonna go ask. You know, it's just like, why would I want to cause somebody some strife or myself some issue? It seems like everyone wants to read into it if you hang up an American flag right now. And that's from all sides.
We are at the peak of a civil unrest. I'm not going to say civil war. The country has never been more divided, and it's violently divided. There is a petition. Remove Scott LeBeto's flag murals. Not only remove my First Amendment, but to remove the American flag. That's why this flag is being waved at this movement. It's about that flag that you will never take that flag down. Save America. Save the flag.
You ever been somewhere and it's too many American flags? It just feels it's a little too much freedom in this space. And it just don't feel right. Like, how many American flags equal one Confederate flag? I don't know what the number is, but there is a number.
You see somebody proudly running around waving the flag, and you gotta ask yourself, like, is that person racist? Or are they using this as a tool of oppression? You look at a lot of these rallies when someone is being allegedly unpatriotic, or whatever the case is, they start shouting USA at you. Like, when did that become almost a swear word or an insult to you for expressing dissent in the place that you live? It's this interesting timeline of emotion to the flag now.
One side of the political divide has co-opted the symbol of the flag as patriotic, and they've literally taken it up as their own. If you see a pickup truck with 2 American flags on the back, you know that that person is probably not the most progressive person known to man. I'm waiting for a pickup truck with 2 American flags in the back with a Biden sticker on the back. I'm waiting. I don't think it's going to happen. But
the Republican Party loves the flag. It's a really important part of the Republican culture. I don't see that as much in the Democratic culture. It was fascinating when Hillary Clinton in 2016, at her convention, she brought the flag back.
Thank you all so much.
And I thought, my God, they figured it out. The Democrats have figured it out. The flag belongs to them too. There is a big difference. Look at Republican iconography. It all involves the flag, and Democrats don't do that. I don't know why. It's as though they've given up on the flag.
That's the American flag. It really symbolizes oppression, capitalism, colonialism, imprisonment. It's really tied to terrorism, white terrorism, which is literally the actual largest percentage of terrorism that occurs here in the United States. I'm not afraid of other black people, trans people, people of color just trying to live their life. I'm afraid of white men who are taking their anger out on me. So whatever you claim as your America is not the America that's serving the people. So that flag that you so love stands for really nothing.
The flag itself is something that brings a bit of hypocrisy and fear in my heart. I'm Dominican. Growing up seeing this flag meant liberation. Growing up seeing this flag meant democracy. For many, it was a dream. I don't know if you can ever be united in a country that was built literally on the blood and extermination of the people who are here before them. So I think for this country to be united, I think we have to come to terms with the fact that we're not the greatest country in the world in the sense that we think we are. And once we pay our respects to the people who came before us, the people that got us here, indigenous, queer, black, Asian Americans who built the railroads. And so we do that, then we can start talking about being united. But before we acknowledge our wrongs, we can't have that conversation yet.
If you look at American history, you see there are these rupture points where the surface dominant story we tell about who we are comes under such pressure, it cracks. Those are moments in which the story gets expanded and deepened and new voices come in. I think we're at one of those moments right now. But when those cracks and fissures come, along with new voices entering and new realities about history, also comes extreme reactions to that. In those moments of cracking open, we see new possibilities emerge that we might this time around really address the depth of white supremacy and gross racial injustice in this country. That's been there since the start.
Where the symbolism of the American flag started to change was in the late 1960s, early 70s, when there was a great anti-Vietnam War sentiment, and there were some on the far left that were burning flags. And Republicans embraced it. They did the flag burning amendment. It started to become a partisan symbol then. Retrospectively, it always looks as though everybody was together. Like even during World War II, not everybody was on the same page. But in the end, Americans always find a way to get back together. The jury's out on whether we're going to do that again this time. When Donald Trump came in, he knows how to throw gasoline. The great problem for the Republican Party is that he expanded its base, and that's the trade-off. So they were willing to put up with a lot of his mistruths and ugly rhetoric in order to get access to a whole new pool of voters.
The week before the election, we went to a Trump rally in the Bronx.
Trump, 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 Trump. Freedom! Socialism, not communism. Boom, the BX.
United we stand, divided we fall. It's time to turn New York red.
Yeah!
United we stand, with Biden we fall.
They're brainwashing you into believing that all Trump supporters are white supremacists, but if you see me, I am not white. I do not support the identity politics that's telling me that because of my skin color that I need to vote Democrat. The Democrats have been using the Latino and the black community for years, and they never do anything.
A lot of people that throw out terms don't really know what they mean. What's the difference between a Marxist or a socialist or a social democrat? But they're terms that are dangerous and they're used to end arguments. You say that and there's nothing more that the other person can say, and that's it. You do see that on both sides. It's a really bad precedent. You have a lot of voters that came out of Latin America and they saw socialism and it had a very bad effect, and those are terms that really light those demographics up. 15 years ago, you didn't use the word socialist or fascist casually. My father was a World War II veteran, was wounded in Italy, 10th Mountain Division. The fascists were those guys. The fascists weren't in the United States, and the same with socialists. Socialists were Marxists, they were Bolsheviks, they were people that were taking freedom away across the way. Now it's no holds barred on language.
CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States, winning the White House and denying President Trump a second term.
USA! USA!
Taking it back that flag.
The American flag means to me, but we can be free and do everything together and not be bad and choose who we want to be.
Tonight, we're seeing all over this nation, all cities and all parts of the country, an outpouring of joy, of hope, renewed faith in tomorrow. Bring a better day. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Pro-Trump protesters gathering at state capitals, echoing the president's baseless claims that the election was stolen.
Even if President Trump were to win all the legal challenges his team has filed so far, he would still likely come up well short of the votes he needs to change the results.
Sorry.
All right, so
It's a
I got
little
everything
early.
ready. Come on, let's go. Do you even think people are going to be there?
I think so. I think they're going to be there. This is the Stop the Steal rally. Jeez, this is heavy. Are we going bowling also?
Are we going to stick with the same two questions?
Yeah, I think we should stick with what we've been doing. We've got to be consistent. You know, what does the flag mean to you?
Right.
And how are we going to get back together as a divided country?
No, all right, here's your phone.
Okay, great.
All right.
Let's do it. We got everything?
I do.
You have your mics?
I do. We have the mics, we have the cameras, we have batteries.
All right,
We're good to
DC,
go.
here we come.
All right.
I hope this rally is peaceful. They usually are.
The American flag is big to me because it shows that there's freedom and that's being taken from us, and that's a big thing for me because I like to do what I like to do and not be told what I can and can't do by the government. And when I can't leave my house and when I can't work and stuff like that. So I'm here fighting for justice and freedom.
We're pretty divided as a country. How do you think we're going to get it back together?
I don't think it's possible. When you have that many people believing in a communist ideology and then the other half believing in freedom, it's like oil and water. They don't mix. It's not a melting pot anymore. It's like a big fruit salad. Everybody's got their own little place to go to. Everybody's got their own religions and their own language. It's not America anymore.
Would you want to talk to us?
It's kind of hard for these things.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Can you breathe?
Yeah.
All right. So the country is pretty divided right now.
Yep.
Do you think we should unite as a country?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
How do you think we can do that?
Listen to each other. Stop policing everybody.
You a little concerned? That's why you got the on, right?
Yeah.
Good reason to be concerned. The flag really is a war crime. This is what it comes down to. This is the only country left on earth with true freedom, and it's in danger.
Overwhelming proof. Election was stolen. We're here to show this is the last stand. I'm 61. I don't want to hurt anybody. I sure as hell don't want to get hurt. That's why I've got this on. I expect somebody from the rooftops maybe to take us out today.
If you had a chance to do something, what would you do?
I'm here right now. This is going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened in this country in 225 years.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
They've stolen our election. It's that time, gentlemen. It's time for us to bring our guns. Disgraceful! Coward! Treason! Traitor! 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 Don't do it, Department of Justice. Don't do it, Department of Justice. Turn from your wicked ways now. Don't become a complete enemy of the people of America.
That's all they got! What the f***? Let's go!
See that one rioter actually hitting a police officer with that pole with the American flag on it, and it all lays bare just how horrible, how terrible the violence was, the rioters. President Trump tweeted a video speaking to those same disgusting rioters, and he said this.
We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
What I thought was, this is history in the making, actual history, terrible history. These are the rules. You win an election, you lose an election, and you deal with it. When January 6th broke out, and they were clearly trying to stop a certification, I didn't think it was the end of America, but I feared that it was the beginning of the end of America. That's a hard one.
When I talk about the stories that make us who we are, that was one of the moments in which I had no place in my imagination for what was happening. I was absolutely speechless and stunned. I imagine many of the people there were actually probably speechless and stunned about what was happening as they got caught up in it. And I think we have yet, as a nation, to even begin the process of finding a way to tell that story. It got ripped, the story of who we tell ourselves, and there was no space in that rip to make sense of what was happening.
It's like the Red Sox versus the Yankees.
And the Red Sox and Yankees are at it again. Punches and tackles.
Everything's become the Red Sox and Yankees, and facts don't matter anymore. And if you're a Yankees fan, it doesn't matter. If you're a Red Sox fan, it doesn't matter. If your player's using steroids, oh no, he didn't really use steroids. We gotta get away to just loving baseball and get back to just loving America. It's just this weird, rooting for your team no matter what. And that, I think we gotta stop that.
The division is the thing that makes me most sad. My neighbor right next door to me, we really don't talk politics at all. When I was growing up in Massachusetts, my mother was Republican, her best friend was Democrat, and they would argue about politics, and then the next day be like, okay, who's picking up the kids?
I'm one of Bill Buckley's many nephews. He had fire in line. In the old days, you brought on the best person from the left to come on there, and you may completely disagree with him, but he'd hear you out. Ideas and free discussion, that was the point. You would give your best argument, and you would want to go up against the best argument, and together you would find the way forward. That's the way the country worked. And now you need to shut down the other side as quickly as possible, and that's a real problem. If you're confident in your philosophy, if you're confident in your opinions, you should be willing to have them challenged. And that's a really important difference that we don't see now.
So I, like everyone else in the United States, have had those moments where I am in conversation or I find myself sitting next to someone whose political views are not just different from mine, but they are frightening and horrifying and disgusting to me. But I say a little quick prayer that's with me all the time. And I cast a golden light over that person. And to see them as beloved changes the energy. Now that doesn't fix everything, but it changes the way you have the conversation and the possibility of making a deep connection.
I'm going to try that.
Good luck. In terms of this nation and its journey to find an ever better future, time and again, we come back to the truth that until we do it together, it doesn't happen. Now, how are we going to move forward together? That's the question of this moment in time, because we are so deeply divided as a nation. That is the hard work of building community, what I call the work of love, of finding the places of our common humanity.